If you're running your business in Notion, you don't always have the time to test all of the new features that come out. And as of recently, Notion have been releasing multiple features to actually help you push your company forward. That's why I've done the digging for you, and I'm going to showcase some of the best features that you should be using and implementing that Notion have recently released. I have not got around to it just yet. It might be something that you've not explored that heavily, and I'm going to share with you some of the use cases that I've been using for myself and my clients to help their business run more smoothly inside Notion. If you're someone that wants to get into Notion for your own business, I've got a one-page business hub that will allow you to do the majority of the things that you need all in a single page in Notion with a video tutorial. So you'll see it in the first link in the description for you to get. First one we're going to look at is offline mode. Now this has been the most requested feature that Notion has had since its conception. This is because a lot of people, when they're traveling or when they're going places, they're maybe not connected to the internet. You maybe don't have that good of a connection. So having the ability to actually update things offline that are then going to update when you come back online is really, really powerful. So this one, especially as a business owner, you're going to be maybe out and about, you're going to be moving different places. Maybe there are certain areas that you don't want to connect to the Wi-Fi, and therefore downloading your pages to use in offline mode is going to be really, really good. Awesome thing with this is that even if you're on a free plan in Notion, you are going to be able to use offline mode. The caveat with it is that you're going to have to download each page offline that you're wanting to use. It's not going to do it automatically for you. If you're on the paid plans, it's then going to allow you to actually have automatic downloads on, so that the favorite pages that you use and the most frequent pages that you use are already going to be downloaded for you. Your internet goes out, maybe something happens where you can't use it for a little bit, so these pages will be downloaded already for you. There's a full article on the how to use Notion and the offline stuff, and I know there's already a ton of videos showcasing like offline, so I'm just going to tell you what actually matters and what you should care about as a business owner. You don't need to know all the crazy stuff that's actually going on. If you're wanting to download a page yourself for offline mode, come to the three wee dots in the top right, select available offline. That's going to download the page and download what's got on it. If you're also wanting to look at automatic downloads, if you come to the top right and you go onto your own settings, there's an offline tab here where you're going to be able to see automatic downloads and what ones you're wanting to do. If you download a database, it's going to load the most recent 50 rows of your database, and that's usually what you need. I mean, you're not going to be using 50 offline rows that you're going to need to actually use in that moment in time. So just download what is actually needed for you to use. If you also go into offline mode with this, there are a few blocks that you're just not allowed to use. So things like relations and roll-ups, those won't actually load until you've came back online. So you can get more relations inside of your databases. You can put them there, but you won't be able to see what you're actually relating it to. So selecting a page, that will only happen when you're online. Not much else that it needs to be aware of when it comes to this. You can come into pages, you can edit them, you can change them, do a ton of stuff with all of it. It is just like you're using it offline. There's just a certain few things like your relations and your roll-ups that won't be available whilst you're offline, and that's okay. And once you come back online, everything's going to re-establish its same connection, and it's going to show the most recent things that you've done for those other people. Another thing to note with this is that if you are on your PC, and this is where you're going to be doing it, you will have to go into your mobile device or your Mac or whatever you're using elsewhere in Notion to then select the available offline if you're wanting to use it on that device. That's just so that if you download a ton of stuff on the PC, if it was to then transfer directly over to your mobile, that would take up a lot of data, and obviously you don't want to be doing that. So you'll select on each individual platform what you want for your offline. This has generally been the most requested feature for Notion for years, and that's for business owners and just regular users for what you're actually doing. The second one, which I've heard anyway is already in the works, the granular shading in databases. Meaning if they do solve that, that will be one of the best features that they have ever released, especially as a business owner. You're then going to be able to create basically client databases with all of your clients in one area and be able to share each row with that client without having to share it with the other ones. There's a lot of problems with things like Airtable Monday, Asana, all of those platforms, ClickUp, like they don't offer that granular shading at a base level. There's always that risk of security. So I've heard that they're already working on that, and I will make a video if that's the case, because Notion will genuinely become one of the most powerful platforms if they are able to do that. The second one I'm going to cover today is conditional colors. Now, if you've used maybe something like Trello, or if you've used things like Kanban boards, you'll know the colors are there for you to be able to see. I don't know if I've got any in these databases as an actual Kanban board, but essentially if I just change this here to a board view, you're going to be able to see it in these sorts of colors. But now what Notion's added is the conditional colors here. So you're essentially going to be able to select specific properties to then show show as a color inside of that database. It's going to make it a lot more visually pleasing to look at and a lot easier to spot what you're looking to do. So let's say, for example's sake, we are going to want to put, if it's assigned to myself, then it's going to be green, you know. So if it contains, and then you select that individual, so I'm going to select myself, then it's going to contain green. And let's say that I put John into this one. If I'm then to select add in another, and I do the assign to, and I put the contains as John, and I'll change his to blue, you'll then see his actually changes. I realize that you're not able to see everything I'm doing, but essentially in the conditions of the colors, you're able to select specific colors that you're wanting to do for these particular types of things, meaning you can create multitudes of conditional coloring to see what you're looking for. Now, as of right now, there aren't ways to make it absolutely crazy where you're doing multitudes of things and you're having different things happen at different times based on certain factors. However, as a start, if you're using this and you want your team to visually see what's going on, this can be a really, really good way of doing it, because you could do it in another front where the priorities are actually selected based on what you're doing, and that is giving you the background to match those options, which is also cool, especially if you've got like select features or multi-select features. It's going to allow you to actually do that and select specific ones to see. Now, if you are someone who learns more visually, this will be a really great way to do that, and I'd highly recommend it. So a few use cases that I've used it for: you could use it for your CRM to basically see what stage people are at and where people are more likely to sign up with you. You can use it for your calls of maybe the ones that you've taken and someone else has taken, so you're able to see that disparity of what's going on. And like I'm kind of showing here, you could use it for your tasks, so that if certain tasks have levels of priority, if people like to see the more colored version, then this has the ability to do it. Another cool thing with the conditional coloring is that for each linked view of the database, it doesn't transfer over. Now, you might be thinking that's a good or bad thing depending on how you like to see things, but I know for me that I would probably want it only on specific views. So it means that if I go to completed tasks, you'll see the conditional coloring isn't actually here. It just is for this view. So if you like a colorful view, or there's some of your team that like that colorful view, it means that it doesn't have to go onto the other views that you're doing, and you can use it in that one. The next one that we're going to talk about is actually one I hadn't noticed had actually been updated, and I hadn't seen really updates anywhere with it, but this is for those that are wanting to learn formulas a little bit more. So they've now actually added AI into the formula itself, where you can write, fix, or explain a formula. So if you're maybe not so great at the formulas themselves, then this can be a really good way to actually just get started on it. I'm not sure which plan this is offered on. I think on the free plan you get like 40 credits or something like that, but I believe after that you can get the option to start to use AI. Knowing the business plan is the one where you're going to get unlimited, but that's also where you get unlimited things like AI meeting notes and AI functions and all of that sort of stuff. So if you're wanting to do this and you maybe don't quite understand the formulas, then this can be a great way to do it. Because what you could do is maybe if the due date is before today, then write in the formula overdue. So we'll see how this gets on. I have found that it can be a little bit tricky sometimes, and it's not the best at giving everything. However, we can see here that the formula is actually done pretty good. So if the due date and the due date is before today, then put overdue, else it's all good. So if we were to put something to, let's say, today's date, and we'll put over here, you'll now see that that actually doesn't have overdue anymore. So again, it's not the most crazy thing in the world, and it's not going to be something that you'll be able to create exceptionally smart formulas at this moment in time, but I do think it's a really good feature for business owners that are looking to use this, because you're someone that wants to learn a little bit of formula and you want to understand that a little bit more. Maybe you're trying to do something quite simple. You could potentially explain it in Notion AI and it could give you something that you're looking for. So this is a really good feature that I've been quite enjoying to see and test out. I've found that there are some problems with it, like it doesn't pick up everything you're trying to do, but when any new feature comes out, you kind of expect that. The next one I'm going to show you is actually inside of pages. So if you're using Notion AI, it now has the ability to actually write inside of pages and databases. You can create specific things inside of here and inside of these pages if you were wanting to. So let's say we're preparing for quarterly financial report. I can say to it, inside this page, help me come up with a template for the quarterly financial report. And then what it's going to do is it's going to craft this for me, and I'll actually put my camera over so you can see what's going on. It's going to craft this page for me, and it's going to give me what it believes is quite good to actually use inside of here of what we're going to cover for this template. So you'll see here we've got the executive summary of the performance, the revenues, the cash, the highlights, and then it's also going to be creating a KPI dashboard for me of things that I'm wanting to do. Now, again, there's a lot of different things that you could do with this. For those people who are maybe not so fixated on what's actually going on and what's actually happening in here, then this is a great way to just get started on that. I mean, look at all of this. I've not done anything. I've literally sat here and talked, and it has brought me everything that I'm kind of needing to do inside of Notion in probably about less than a minute. So if this is something that you are wanting to do, and this is something that you're wanting to actually implement, the business feature for Notion AI is becoming better and better, because now as well, you can use web search. You can also use GPT-5. You can connect different apps for what you're wanting to do. You can use particular sources that you're wanting to try. So if I wanted to select sources inside of my team space or another team space that I'm working in, I can also link this to my Slack. So there really is so much that you can do with this that I don't think people quite realize the ability and the capabilities of this over time. You're building that sort of memory bank of how you work and how you function, especially if you've got your knowledge base inside of here. It can be really, really good. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not going to be creating things like vector databases where you're really able to dive into it, but my recommendation, especially for business owners now, to what to start thinking about when you're looking at your databases, I would genuinely start thinking about adding in selects and creating an AI autofill that is going to actually autofill what these topics are about. So inside of these selects themselves, you're using that AI to actually come up with tags of things that are going on. So inside of here, you can actually get it to generate its own options, and you can also put what you want it to generate, so that over time, when you're using the Notion AI function and you're searching for things inside of your Notion itself, you can use that to actually look for, okay, what is categorized as these particular areas. So that's something that I would highly recommend for any business that is using Notion at the moment. Start using the AI features for autofill, whether that be the text summary or whether that be select features for what this is going to cover or the category it's under, because this is going to allow you to search for things far easier in the future. Some of the other updates that have been happening, in that some have not quite released yet, but also they are getting far better for what they're doing, is we have the ability now to update task databases directly inside Notion Calendar. So if I open Notion Calendar itself and we have the task database for YouTube, what you can see here is what's actually inside of that database. So you'll see here the low priority. I can change these right there and then to what I'm wanting. So if we go back to our all tasks, then we can kind of see what's going on here of the in progress. I'll change a few of these to done so that you can kind of see what's going on. So if we come back into this database, you'll now see that we are going to put the onboarding to done. We're going to put the onboarding call to be scheduled. We're going to put the financial quarter to done. And we're also going to do the fixing kitchen cabinets. So you'll now see all of these are starting to update themselves. So Notion is now finally being able to update the things that you've got inside of Notion in your calendar. So they're linking up with one another to actually do that. So you're now able to see what the status is, what priority level it is, and who it's actually going to be assigned to. Now, you can't change just right now who it's assigned to, but you can change the things like the status and the selects, which is really, really good, because you can also put the due dates and the end dates if you're wanting to add particular times. Now, if I'm also not mistaken, you can drag and drop these into your, you can drag and drop them directly into your calendar, which is another real big game changer. So the only thing that you need to do in order to get this on your calendar is you either add the Notion database, which is here, I'll show you that on the screen so that you can see it, is the add Notion database down at the bottom here. Or if you're inside of your Notion, just make sure there's a calendar view and then just manage it in your Notion calendar. There's genuinely been a lot of really good things that are happening inside of Notion. And as I'm creating this video, I'm realizing how good some of these things are becoming. Again, there's a few things that I would want, but at the end of the day, I know that they're working on them and they're really active in the community with all the things that they're improving. So I know it's just going to be more of that waiting game and trying to get it right. There are a few other things that Notion have released recently of kind of like the feed view inside of Notion. It's a new view that you can use, which is just here. So you can kind of see inside of the pages with what's going on. But I won't lie, I've not used it with any client yet, as I've not found a way of it being something that's really good for them and it's something that's laid out really well for them. But if you do, then you can actually see quite a lot in here, and I think it could be great for maybe like reporting or meetings that you've been having. So if you do take notes inside of Notion, I think they could be fantastic for it. Again, it's just the way that you work. If you prefer to work that way, then this can be great. I'm someone that kind of likes to just see it as a database view, and I can click into it if need be. So I'm not too bothered by seeing it in this way, and it seems like some of my clients aren't either. But if that works for you, then by all means. Notion is becoming something that is even more powerful than I thought it could be. There's just a few things that I'm looking forward to updating, and if they get the granular sharing databases, it is going to be a game changer, and I expect all the other companies like Monday and Asana and ClickUp to all follow suit when it comes to this, because it is really, really powerful to do when done right. Softer is the app that I've been using recently to create client portals so that they're actually professionally secure with what's going on. But as of right now, all these other platforms can't quite do it, else you have to pay quite a lot to do it. If you're also looking to get into Notion a little bit more, I've got the one-page business hub down below in the first link in the description. And if you're wanting to take your business even further than that, I've also got a link to my Chaos to Scalable program, where I'll help you with your operations inside your business to be able to take that to the next level. I know the video on the screen now will be something you'll love to watch, and I'll see you there.